everyone, and welcome back to another weekly reading update. The last one this year. Now, I hope you all had a wonderful Christmas, and for me, this was again a very satisfying reading week, because I wrapped up two major books and started the next step in a long-running series. So, let's talk about how this reading week went. This week, I finished The Two Towers, and overall this remains a very strong middle volume in The Lord of the Rings. What stood out to me most this time around was the momentum. Once this book gets going, it really doesn't slow down. There's a constant sense that events are unfolding simultaneously across Middle-earth, and even though the story is split into separate parts, it never really feels fragmented. The Roman sections in particular really worked for me. The build-up to Helm's Deep still holds up incredibly well, and Tolkien's ability to convey scale, not just in the battle itself, but in the history behind it, is something very few fantasy writers have ever matched. I also appreciated the quieter moments more on this reread. The time spent with Frodo, Sam and Gollum has a different kind of tension. It's slower, but psychologically heavier. You really feel the weight of the journey pressing down on them, especially as Gollum becomes more central to the story. If I need to have one small criticism, it's simply that this is very clearly a middle book. It doesn't have the sense of completion you get from the Fellowship of the Ring, and it deliberately withholds resolution. But that's not really a flaw, it's just the nature of the structure. Overall, The Two Towers was a very strong finish for me, and it left me eager to move on to The Return of the King next month. I also finished the Darkness at Sethanon, and this one didn't quite work for me. I can absolutely see what Feist was going for here. It's clearly meant to be this big, epic culmination of the original Riftwar trilogy, and on paper it has all the right ingredients. Ancient enemies, world-ending stakes, and a lot of plot threads finally coming together. But in practice, I found myself oddly disinterested for large stretches of the book. A big part of that came down to the pacing and structure. Events move extremely quickly, sometimes so quickly that major developments don't have the emotional weight I expected them to have. Important moments happen, and then the story is already racing on to the next crisis before they've really had time to land. I also felt a bit distant from the characters in this one. Earlier books in the trilogy gave me much more space to settle into individual perspectives, whereas here it often felt like characters were being moved around the board to serve the plot, rather than a plot growing naturally out of their decisions. None of it makes it a bad book, it just wasn't a particularly satisfying reading experience for me. I appreciated the ambition, and I understand why this book works very well for a lot of readers, but emotionally it never really clicked. It just missed a lot of things that Magician, the first book, did really well. And I think in the end I just wanted to like it more than I actually did. But yeah, I was glad to have finished the original trilogy, but I didn't feel that sense of payoff I usually want from a concluding volume. And after finishing those two books, I started Stratagem, which is the fourth volume in The Legend of the Galactic Heroes by Yusuke Tanaka. Yes, that series again. I'm still very early into this one, but even from the opening chapters it's clear that the series is shifting gears again. The political maneuvering and military strategy are actually becoming more complex, and the conflict between the Empire and the Alliance feels much more defined with each book. And what I really noticed with this one is how little hand-holding it does. Tanaka expects the reader to keep track of names, factions and long-term consequences. And that makes the victories and failures feel much more earned. So far, Stratagem feels like it's going to lean heavily into large-scale planning and tactical decision making, which is exactly what I want from this series at this point. And I'm very much looking forward to continuing with this one over the next week, and hopefully it leads to a good end for this reading year. And as for channel updates, last week I did my January TBR video. I have 5 books planned, all from series, but all with a bit of a different idea. Finishing series, continuing some, and even starting a new one. So I think a great way to start a new year. Next week will be my top 10 favorite reads of 2025. On the 1st of January, so a great way to start a new year. And if you've been following my channel for a while now, you might guess my favorites, but I think there will be a few surprises in there, so look out for that one. And at the end of this video, I want to say a few more things. 2025 has for me been a very special year in many ways. And a big one has been, of course, starting this channel. It's crazy to think about that around a year ago, around this same time, I was seriously thinking about starting a booktube channel, which was a very big step for me. But I'm happy I started it, and I even feel like I became a little good at it. What I wanted to say is thank you. Thank you to all who watch my videos. It's a bit surreal to think some of you take time out of your days to watch my videos. And thank you for some of you who subscribe to my channel. I appreciate it a lot. And also thank you for sometimes leaving a comment. It always makes my day. Anyway, it's a bit silly to say all this, but it's something I want to say here at the end of the year. And I wish you all a happy new year, and I hope to see you again next year. And as always, thanks for watching, and until next time.